What's with us this morning? It's another installment of Martial Law, and this radio program intended to be for informational purposes. And different jurisdictions have different laws and regulations. Because of these differences, you should not act or rely on any information in this segment without seeking the advice of a competent attorney licensed to practice law in your jurisdiction for your particular problem. And there's one of those right across the microphone from me this morning. He is Marshall Chriswell, attorney at law. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Nice to be here.
We have pets have their own little trust funds, legacy.
Thinking about pets in a legal context. So, for hundreds of years, as long as our particular legal system's been around, domesticated. So, that they're no different than your car or your couch. And in recent years, this has kind of begun to change a little bit. You have criminal laws. Some laws popping up in states, particularly one recent one was Iowa, where pets are being treated a little more like kids when it comes to divorce and custody disputes. So, so there are interesting, expansions of law with regard to pets, and one of those is pet. The Uniform Trust Act, and that law provides for what we call pet trusts, and pet trusts are a way to provide for your pet for it's got to be enough to sustain the pet for the rest of their life, and carried on after you're not with us.
So if someone comes to an attorney and they say, okay, I've had this will set up with you for a lot of years, and we do the periodic reviews. What are some of the issues they get into then?
Sure. First of all, we've got how are we going to do that? Are you going to fund the trust now? Is it going to be Is it going to be initially funded? Is it going to be done with life insurance proceeds or some other way? And there's lots of flexibility there. And of course, along with that question, the core that out over the potential lifespan of the pet, and also then probably add a little bit, because as pets get older, they and then sometimes you add a little bit of padding to that and say, okay, just in case of emergencies or something, here's a little extra. going to live until you needs to be used.
Do they often get into
The person who's responsible for financially managing the money and actually cares for the pet day to day. Like I said, those normally the same person. It just makes sense. Take care of your loved pet when you can't do that, and talk to them about it, just like we always talk about, Todd, with appointing executors and
Sure.
Trustees and guardians for your children. This is another instance where you're going to want to have a conversation with the person that you're appointing and say, hey, I'd like to appoint you as a trustee for Rex. We also would want to have an alternate named just in case they're not available. So yeah, that's a really important part of it as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm sensing a Disney movie that's about to be written.
To make these trusts enforceable, and the
Already stored away to talk about my future.
Yeah, for beginning of the year is a good time to take stock. Around the New Year's, and that's what a lot of folks. So, whenever you're talking about dealing with estates, there are two types of what you'd call quote
I know tax preparers have to re-educate themselves from your standpoint, from an attorney standpoint.
Of the alimony deduction, and we mentioned that.
Yeah.
That is something that affects so many and because the alimony deduction was an important factor for a lot of folks that were thinking about settling their divorce. So it's really interesting as well.
Yeah, I would guess.
Yeah. Legislature and coming down in terms of case law from the appellate courts, and it's something that I really mean the difference in sometimes winning or losing a case, or a good or a bad outcome.